would you say is the biggest ethical challenge that us as students going into the workforce face as PR professionals?
I think the biggest challenge for students is that they don't have a background in ethics, right? So they don't know necessarily what's right and what's wrong. And so when they go into the workforce, you know, whether they're working for an agency or a corporation, you feel like you have to do what they tell you to do. But there may be opportunities or situations where a client or an employer asks you to do certain things that just don't seem right, but you feel pressured to do what they say because you want to keep your job, you want to make the clients happy. So I really think the biggest challenge is knowing kind of how to deal with things that don't seem right to you, things that you think are unethical, and having the courage to make that stand and push back, and let them know that you don't think this is right.
Okay. And how would you recommend that we prepare ourselves for those type of ethical situations, some tangible things that we could do?
I think if you look at the PRSSA website, they have a big section on ethics. I think talking to professors, definitely participating in some of the PRSSA sections where they talk about ethics. The more that you expose yourself to ethics and the principles of ethics, and exposing yourself to case studies on ethical dilemmas, I think the more you get this feel for what is right and wrong. So what I've found a lot is in dealing with situations like that, a lot of it for me is a gut feeling. Someone asks me to do something, tells me to do something that just doesn't feel right, and to me I found that when it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. So I think it's, you get that kind of knowledge and that feel for just exposing yourself to the experiences of others, case studies, and probably reference materials and things like that you can find on PRSA.
Nice, thanks. Okay, last question. Working for the government, I'm sure that you've been exposed to some interesting PR situations. Is there anything that you could briefly tell us about, and either how you responded to it or how it was handled? There's something that you have to share, we need to share it in like a delicate way. How do you approach that ethically?
Obviously in the Navy, it's a big organization. We operate on a global scale, and there's stuff that happens every day that impacts our sailors, our ships, the United States in general. But the Navy is very forthcoming and transparent. So while trying to protect national security and the privacy issues of our sailors, their policy is to stay in front of the issue, make sure they're very transparent. We never want to try and hide anything, right? Because ethically, we're not covering things up. You want to be as transparent as possible, but we still have to protect certain things like people's privacy issues and national security. So from an ethical standpoint, you won't see spokespeople lying, covering up things. We're as transparent as possible.
The last one I think I wanted to ask to you, like as an employer, when hiring someone, what is an ethical value that you sort of seek out in a potential employee?
So that's a big answer.
Aside from like honesty and
Well, so one of the things I talk about in my classes with students and how they do their classwork and how they work with their teams and things like that is ethics is so huge, and I feel that in the classroom we've got this responsibility to shape students so that when they come out and they go to work for companies like mine, they have a good sense of ethics. And for me, it's things like honesty, being truthful, being forthcoming. If you make a mistake, I want to know about it. It's better to tell me now that you've made a mistake than to let this go on and then things just get worse. So for me, I'm looking for those types of things. That's why when someone comes from Cal State Fullerton, I receive that resume, I ask them who their capstone professor is because I want to talk to them. Because I want to know, what was this person like? Right, because that stuff doesn't come through on the resume. I don't get to, it doesn't say this person's trustworthy and transparent on the resume. You only get that through people who know the character. And that's very important for me, not only to protect my company and myself, but my clients. Because all the people that come to work for me are going to be, client-facing people. And the minute that someone in my organization calls the integrity of my company into question, then they destroy relationships. And that can kill a company and kill a career.
Yeah, so it's adopting an ethical outlook in just all your relationships, because you never know who your employer is going to be reaching out to.
Exactly. It's a character thing. That's right. That's why when we're calling references, we're not just necessarily calling to see if you did your job well. We're calling to see what kind of person you are. Especially in public relations, where everything is relationship based. Relationships with the media, with our clients, with your coworkers. The minute that your ethical fiber comes into question, then you're done. People don't trust you, and when people don't trust you, your work as a public relations person is called into question.